He woke before sunrise as he always did, quietly tying his worn-out shoes and rubbing the stiffness from his shoulders, listening to the silence of his small apartment before another long day on the route. His name was Daniel Hart, a mail carrier in a quiet Midwestern town. A man whose steps had carried him through years of storms, heat waves, lonely holidays, and gentle mornings when robins perched on mailboxes as if keeping him company. Daniel had grown tired in body, but never in heart, because he carried something more than letters. He carried an unseen mission no one else knew about. Every morning before he loaded his bag, he unfolded a large sheet of paper pinned inside his locker door. It was a hand-drawn map, rough lines marking streets and houses, each home represented by a small dot. Around the dots were short pencil notes, not about mail but about prayers. Widowed mother, strength. Veteran with chronic pain. Teenager struggling with identity. Elderly couple, peace. For years, Daniel had stopped for a heartbeat at every mailbox, whispering a silent prayer for whoever lived behind the door. It began the year his wife died, when grief hollowed him out until the only thing that soothed the ache was praying for strangers. He never expected results. He never expected thanks. He simply prayed because it kept his heart from collapsing, because lifting others helped him rise again. His route became his sanctuary, each home a little altar where a simple, honest prayer might land softly on someone's unseen burden. No one knew about the prayer map, not even his pastor. It was just Daniel and God walking the same miles each day, quietly sowing blessings like seeds scattered on the wind. One cold autumn morning, the sky hung low with thick gray clouds, heavy as though carrying a warning. Daniel felt something unsettled as he stepped onto Maple Street, a tension humming beneath the quiet. Leaves skittered across the pavement like restless whispers. He gripped his mailbag tighter, unsure why his pulse quickened. The first house belonged to the Ortega family, where a young boy named Lucas battled nightly asthma. Daniel placed the mail in the box and whispered, "Breath for the boy, calm for the parents." But just as he stepped away, he heard a window slam open and saw the mother frantically calling a neighbor. Lucas had collapsed, gasping for air. Before Daniel could react, the neighbor he had prayed for only yesterday, retired nurse, Margaret, ran out with an inhaler she always carried for emergencies. She helped the boy breathe until the ambulance arrived. Daniel watched in shock. It felt too exact, too perfectly timed, as if unseen hands had arranged the moment. Still rattled, he continued down the street. The wind sharpened, lifting his jacket. At the corner lived Mr. Jensen, a widower who often forgot to lock his door and sometimes left the stove on. Today, Daniel saw smoke curling from the kitchen window. He sprinted to the porch, banging on the door, shouting for the old man. But before he reached for his phone, two teenage brothers from across the street, boys Daniel had prayed for constantly through their parents' divorce, ran over with fire extinguishers. They had noticed the smoke while leaving for school, and without hesitation raced to pull Mr. Jensen outside before the fire spread. Again, Daniel felt the tug of something stirring beneath the surface of the day. Like threads tightening in a tapestry, he had never realized God was weaving dot at the next house. The McKinley residence. Tension often simmered. The father worked long hours, the mother struggled with depression, and their daughter Emily carried more sadness than any child should. Daniel paused at their mailbox, praying as he always did. Harmony, healing, courage. Just then, a loud crash erupted from inside. He jolted toward the porch, but before he knocked, the Ortega father, who had just returned from following the ambulance, ran up the steps after hearing the noise through the thin autumn air. Daniel watched him push inside to help just as the mother fainted from panic after dropping a heavy platter. The community around them seemed to move like a single living body, rushing to lift, hold, steady, comfort. Each household Daniel had prayed for became an answer to another household's need. By midday, the strange pattern grew undeniable. A sudden storm rolled in, fast and violent, turning streets slick and dark. A transformer blew on Pine Ridge Drive, sending sparks that frightened a small child wandering too close to the road. Before Daniel could get there, the teenager he'd prayed for just yesterday grabbed the child and carried him to safety. Then the power outage shut down the oxygen machine of Mrs. Carter, the elderly woman Daniel prayed for every day with special tenderness because she reminded him of his late wife. Her neighbor, a single mother who usually rushed through her days with exhaustion, noticed the power failure instantly. Without a second thought, she ran outside in the storm, found Daniel down the street, and together they pushed through the wind to move the heavy machine and connect it to the generator. Daniel's prayer map had prompted him to keep in his truck since last winter. The woman survived because two people who normally never spoke worked in perfect, unplanned harmony. The storm intensified, sirens echoing in the distance as branches snapped and power lines swayed. Daniel felt the weight of his soaked jacket and the chill creeping into his bones, yet an unshakable fire stirred in his heart. Everything he had prayed for, every whispered plea, every quiet hope scratched in pencil on his map, seemed to be unfolding in a chain of mercy far beyond coincidence. He made his way to the final street on his route, trembling not from cold, but from awe. He looked at the homes arranged along the curve like beads on a rosary string. He could hardly breathe. He felt God near, closer than breath, closer than thought. Then it happened. A crash on the slippery hill sent a delivery van skidding into a ditch, trapping the driver. Daniel rushed toward the sound, slipping on wet leaves. When he arrived, the van's door was jammed shut. Flames sparked under the hood. He shouted for help, helplessly pulling at the handle. From the nearest house, the two brothers ran out again, followed by their mother. From another home came Lucas's father. From down the street came Margaret the nurse, the single mother, the widower, the anxious teen, the exhausted father. They came from every direction, as if drawn by a calling older than their lives, stronger than their fears. Together they pulled, pushed, pried until the door broke open. The driver stumbled out just as the engine ignited, collapsing into their arms. Rain poured over them like a baptism, washing smoke and fear from their faces. Daniel looked around at the circle of people who had never acted like a community before this day. They were strangers who had become protectors, neighbors who had become family, and unknowing participants in a miracle stitched together by prayer. He felt tears spill warm down his cheeks, mixing with the rain. He looked at the sky and whispered, "Lord, you heard every word." For the first time since his wife died, Daniel felt his grief lift, not replaced but transformed, as though God had handed him back his heart, healed and whole. After the storm passed, people gathered in the middle of the street, exhausted, trembling, but united. They hugged each other, offered blankets, shared soup, exchanged numbers, and promised to look out for one another. Someone asked how everyone managed to show up at the exact moment of every crisis. Margaret pointed at Daniel, saying softly, "Maybe it's because someone has been watching over us." They asked what she meant, but Daniel shook his head, embarrassed, unsure whether to reveal his secret. Yet he saw the longing in their eyes, the desire to understand why this day had been unlike any other. So he opened his mailbag, took out the folded paper he had kept hidden for years, and spread it across the hood of a car. The pencil lines glistened in the damp light. Every house, every note, every prayer. Silence fell. No one laughed. No one dismissed it. Instead, people touched the map gently, reverently, as if holding a sacred relic. One by one they thanked him, but Daniel shook his head, saying the prayers were never his, not really. They were God's way of moving through tired feet and a broken heart. The teen who had saved the child said, "Maybe we answered the prayers because he prayed them first." And for the first time, Daniel allowed himself to believe it. Years later, when Daniel retired, the community presented him with a framed copy of the prayer map. restored and inked beautifully by the children of the neighborhood. At the bottom they wrote, "Because you prayed, we became family." Daniel wept again, holding the truth close. God had used ordinary steps and whispered prayers to rewrite the story of an entire street, turning isolated houses into a living tapestry of grace. This story begins with a weary man carrying mail and ends with a community carrying one another. It reminds us that God answers even the quietest prayers, weaving miracles in ways we rarely notice until everything aligns with divine precision. Welcome, dear friend. This is Faith Light Stories, where every story reminds us that God never leaves us. Please like, share, and subscribe. And now, as this story closes, I invite you to take its light with you. If it touched your spirit, if it helped you breathe a little easier, or if it reminded you that your quiet prayers matter, please comment below and share this video so others can feel hope again. Join our Faith Light Stories family by liking, subscribing, and sharing these stories of grace. Your engagement helps spread God's love farther than you can imagine.